All right, let's do this. Thanks for jumping on, everyone. I'm going to talk about something that HVAC contractors, plumbing contractors have talked about for years, and that's putting pricing online on their website. So we're not going to do a demo today. I don't want this to be a sales pitch, and I don't want it to be AI doom talk, because I think that happens a lot. Contractor Commerce is a sponsor of the group, but I'm going to have a real conversation with Jeff today. And whether or not you guys put pricing online is really up to you and who you use if you decide to do it. And so what's different now in the market today is this buzzword that you guys are probably all maybe a little fatigued with, which is AI. And homeowners are researching things differently. They're forming different opinions based upon accurate or inaccurate facts before they ever call you. And it's changing the buying process now, and it'll continue to change it in the future. So I think the question you have to ask yourself is, what happens, or should I put pricing online? If I don't, what's going to happen? If I do, is something going to change in my business? But how can I stay in control of the information either way? So Jeff, thanks for joining me today. Jeff works at Crawford HVAC, and Travis's company has been putting pricing online on their website for 2 years. So I want to talk to him about what's actually happened, what works, what didn't, what he would change, and whether or not they have been attracting those price shopping, bottom feeding customers that everybody's afraid of. And you can drop the questions in the chat, and Paul with Contractor Commerce will answer them. And we'll also do a Q&A at the end. And, I appreciate you guys joining me today. And if I do bad, Tersh Blissett is on the call today, and he'll take over if I don't do good. So he said, make sure you do good in this webinar. So I said, if I don't do a good job, Tersh, you can just jump in and do it for me, So Jeff, let's start with you. So why did you and your company decide to put pricing on your website in the first place?
Well, I think one of the main reasons was a lot of, the way that technology has advanced, and of course our industry and a lot of changes, since COVID and so on and so forth, is a lot of homeowners do not know what to expect. They are weary about having people in their homes. They're weary about, can I afford this? How much is it? Most homeowners only deal with system replacement maybe 1 to 2 times in their entire lifetime, right? So there's a lot of questions going on in their head. And so just to have that upfront resource for them. Now, we're not saying that price online is to the cent of exactly what needs. Obviously, you've got to get in the home. You've got to look at, other components just beyond the HVAC system itself that they may need. But it does allow them to get a good general idea of what it will cost to replace the system with the company prior to, them contacting us or having a salesperson or a technician or someone coming inside the home.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. What were you worried about when you first started to do it? Or
well, I think one of the biggest things for us was like, is this going to cut down on the amount of maybe quotations, that we have as far as inquiries about system sales? We were worried about, of course, our competitors, finding out what we're offering, what we're doing, our warranties, our pricing, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, they're going to find out anyway, right? People are going to find out what your pricing is. Why are you so scared to hide it? Because it's out there. And I think from a consumer standpoint, if they feel that, I can go on the comfortability of my own cell phone at night, 11 p.m., and this contractor is upfront, they're forward, they're giving us an idea of what it's going to cost. This is the type of company I want to do business with. If they're like, hey, we need to send this sales guy to your home, we need to do this, and it's a 3 and 4 day process just to get an idea, is it something, can they afford? Are we in their ballpark range? It kind of defers them, from contacting in the first place. And so, of course, we're like everybody else. We were hesitant. We were scared. It was new. Putting it right there on the website, you get your competitors going on there, you get consumer stuff like that. But once we kind of started rolling in the process, we're like, damn, this is actually pretty good. We're actually getting more involvement from a consumer and getting those conversations, the doors open prior to even having to send someone out to the home.
Is there anything you would have changed after you did it, as far as the process goes, the way you displayed the pricing, how you followed up, things like that?
Yeah, I think in the very beginning, we were so focused on putting the total upfront amount on there and not really talking about financing as much. And so we ended up changing that. And I think one of the things too is at first we had it to where as soon as you logged on there, you had to put in your name, your phone number, your address, and people automatically felt like, oh God, I'm being tied into this company. I'm going to get all their marketing emails. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get their flyers just because I was inquiring about potentially replacing a system. And so we kind of ended up changing that format to where only thing we need right now is just a zip code. Let's just make sure you're in our, demographic as far as is, where we service at. And then just allow the customer to kind of go through the process of that. Is this something that they're looking to do right now? And ask those type of questions. What's got you looking at it? Is your system old? Is it inefficient? Is it currently broken? And allowing them to engage with the actual software before we get to the part of, hey, let's get a little bit more information so we can get this estimate to you. So that was one thing we started. And then as we kind of went through the process, let's make it actually more welcoming and inviting to the homeowner versus just give us your information and eventually we'll give you a price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So give them a little bit before you ask for a lot from them. That makes
Absolutely.
sense. What did your sales guys think about it when you first put it on? Because I've heard some things like that it would, kill opportunities for sales guys to go in the home and build value. That's what we've been doing for all these years.
Yeah. And of course they're very wary of it, right? They're like, we don't like this. You're not, you're potentially we could be losing out on this, and we're contacting people, they're not responding, and it's just a waste. And what if they were calling the office and we were able to get a tech out there? And so what I'll tell you is one of the other sides is from a business standpoint is not everyone is your customer and not everyone is going to be your customer. And to give you guys an example where we are in Charlotte, we're probably generally speaking the second most expensive contractor in the city. And we own that and we want that. And we do not want to be the cheapest contractor. So we're not scared of price. And so having a lot of conversations with them on the fact of just because someone is going to our site and we're giving them information doesn't mean that we're just, pricing ourselves out of that, right? We want them to have an understanding so that now you can take that information that they're giving you, that they are interested in looking for a system and now kind of build the value to do your job while we charge what we do.
When you end up booking a call from a lead on there, about what's your close rate and average ticket versus like if somebody just comes to you as they normally would, where they're just calling for a quote?
I would say it's probably about 20 to 25% higher on the closing rate. Just because that initial maybe brain shock of what it costs to replace a unit in 2025 or 2026 versus, waiting that is anticipation and getting a salesperson out there. So I'd say on average, it's about 25% higher. And then of course, average ticket wise, you probably increased it maybe 1,500 to 2,000. Just because you got that initial buy-in from the consumer and now you're talking about, maybe components, return supply, additional thermostats, IAQ products, things like that. So I would say about 25% and then probably about another 1,500 to 2,000 on the average ticket side.
Did they end up going with, so I'm not sure how you do it. Do you just, you ask them a series of questions and then show them 3 system options, or how's that kind of work?
Yes, we actually, that's a very, very good question there, Bill. So kind of back into the process we were talking about before, is we ask those questions. What's important to you in the home? Are you looking for something that is just basic cost efficient? There's energy savings and things, that nature important to you. So if they kind of, depending on what they click on through their buying journey of that process is kind of what options pull up there. And it's anywhere from 3 to 4 different system options. And it kind of shows them what a monthly range is, what a total, system investment cost is out the door. So that's kind of allowed us to have an idea of where the consumer's mindset is and what's really important to them inside the home prior to even having that conversation.
Yeah, I get that. So would you say, does it allow them to select a specific system that they're interested in, or you just show them the options and then kind of go from there?
It does.
Do they end up usually choosing that system, or does the person who goes in the house, a salesperson, have another conversation with them and maybe get them to upgrade from there? How's that usually shake out?
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, majority of your homeowners are going to choose cost effectiveness, right? Because they've just got the fear of how much is this going to cost and can we afford it? And we just, renovated our kitchen 2 weeks ago. We just had this come up. I just had to put new tires on the vehicle, right? And this is an unexpected thing because, as we know, no one wakes up in the morning like, hey, today's my day. I'm ready to spend 15 grand on an HVAC system, right? And so most of them choose cost effectiveness, and then it allows the technician, once we kind of have, or the sales guy, to have that initial conversation, figure out, what really is important to them inside the home, right? Because it actually may be more affordable than you think, or you're only spending maybe an extra $20 to $30 a month on that financing investment to actually get a higher share system in the home, or maybe adding additional indoor air quality products or things like that. And so most of the people do choose cost effectiveness, but it does allow them to be able to kind of upsell them from there. And I would say it's probably 30% of the time people end up getting a different type of system than what they initially thought, just because they're just like, hey, I don't want to go all out here. It's kind of like you go buy a new vehicle sometimes. Maybe you don't go in wanting that platinum or Raptor vehicle. You want to look at a basic XLT F-150, and you end up sitting inside that bad boy, getting some information about it. Next thing you know, you're driving off with a better truck than kind of what you thought initially you were going into.
They know what they're doing in those dealerships by putting the Raptor inside the showroom, right? And the XLT's in the back, hasn't been washed in a while. So it sounds like this is able to weed out the bad fits a little bit. Let me talk about the financing real quick. Are they able to fill out the financing on your website and get pre-approved? We tried to do that a little bit on our website back in the day. Do you offer that as well?
We do. And one of the cool things is actually at the end of the Contractor Commerce process, we have an embedded our financing link. So not only are they getting these estimates or getting all this information via text message and email, there's also a link right in front of them for them to click on to go ahead and get pre-approved. And what we do, so currently we kind of have multiple different financing plans. And one of those, and we use Good Leap, one of our finance providers, we use them through Contractor Commerce and put them on the website. But one of the plans we offer is a 15-year 9.9. Now, most people look at this and are like, oh my God, we're not financing an HVAC system for 15 years. But the great thing about it just shows that low monthly investment, right? Because we want to make sure that people understand this can be and is affordable for you. So we show the payment plan for the 15-year. And of course, obviously the total investment as well that can toggle back and forth between those options. But then right at the end of the process, they can click on a link and go right to the financing page, which is about a 2 to 3 minute application process.
Yeah, that's really nice. Talk about getting pre-qualified all the way through, knowing the price, getting qualified for the financing. Man, if I was a sales guy, I'd really like to have that situation when I went out in the first place. I wouldn't, because there's nothing worse than telling a customer that a system's $10,000 or it starts at that and they think it's $5,000. That's a really awkward conversation to have,
Yeah, absolutely.
On your website, do you show different equipment brands, or do you pick a brand? How do you go about that?
Yeah, so through obviously on our actual website itself, we really don't talk about anything branding, right? Because us as a company, we are the brand. Obviously, every contractor across the country, everybody has good and positive things to say about certain brands. And obviously you can Google it and you're going to hear great reviews. You're going to hear terrible reviews about any brand, but we do deal with 3 different ones. And of course we put those through the Contractor Commerce platform. And I think we've kind of designed it to where if it is a cost-effective, option that they are choosing, we want it to be our cheapest option for them, as far as branding wise. And I'm not going to really get into the brand names and stuff right now, but we do offer that to where most people now, I really don't think they care about brand. I think all the contractors can agree it's necessarily not about brand, but hey, who's installing that equipment, right?
Right.
To ensure the longevity of that piece of equipment. So we talk about it a little bit, but that's not a huge thing that we really focus on. We focus about us as a company, who we are, why we do what we do, and why we charge what we charge.
That makes sense. When a customer calls in on the phone or sends a text and they're interested in a quote, does your office staff funnel them to the online pricing system, or do they go the normal, legacy route of booking a quote and then home?
Yeah, so that's a very, very good question, Bill. And so it actually goes kind of both ways. I think it really sometimes just depends on what the consumer says. Sometimes we do send them to there. But really the first question is what we've trained the CSRs is why. why are you looking for an estimate to begin with, right? Did you just have another company out there and tell you that you need to replace your system, and now you're in that shopping mode? And or is it something you've been knowing for the past few years, and you've just been hoping, hey, one more summer, and now you're like, you know what, it's time. And so in those situations, it really just kind of depends on the consumer itself. But I would say probably maybe 20-25% of the time they kind of get directed to the site. Now, I think that sometimes you have to be very careful with that, because you don't want the consumer to feel like, you know what, thank you for calling us. We really don't have time to provide this information for you. When it's convenient for you, just go to our website. But you also want to let them know that that is available, because some people don't want to initially get on the phone with the salesperson, because then they feel like, you know what, next thing I know, all I did was call them to get an idea. Now they won't stop texting me. They're calling me. And I think just people have the fear of what happens after I talk to a salesperson if I'm not ready to make that decision. I think a lot of people can agree that, you know, you'll have a company, you'll have a customer that'll let you maintenance their system for years and years and years. And it comes time to where the replacement talk is happening, and they'll start calling other companies just for pricing, right?
That's
just to make
so
sure that
frustrating for that to happen. I was
absolutely,
always
it happens all the time, right? And so there are times, even, you know, with technicians out in the field, a customer will say, look, you know, this is something we're looking to probably do 6 months from now, 3 months from now, maybe next year. We're not ready for that. So we'll, of course, let them know that obviously, you know, the industry is changing. Of course, prices definitely fluctuate. Us as contractors, we unfortunately get price increases multiple times a year. But hey, go to our website now, check it out, go through the platform, get an idea. And then when it's kind of getting ready to maybe do it again, before you give us a call, kind of go back in there and check it out. Because obviously you've got to go back in, you've got to update your pricing and stuff like that. And you know how often you need to do for your business. But yeah, it kind of goes both ways on the phone sometimes, really depending on what that consumer is looking for and whether
That's interesting how your CSRs handle that. You know, so if, let me get this right. Let me get this straight. So if the client doesn't appear to be ready to make a decision, you guys kind of won't go out there, or kind of push that off at that point if you don't feel like there's an opportunity to close.
Yeah, and so the phone conversation will happen. We'll get them on the phone, you know, with an internal salesperson to kind of figure out, you know, what's been happening throughout this thought process in their mind of needing to replace. Right? Is it something that, you know, that has been limping along? Is your system currently down and we're in the middle of the summertime and they know they got to make that decision? Or is it just like, hey, you know what, you know, company's been maintaining us for years. They've kind of mentioned this thing's getting old. It's getting toward the end of its life expectancy. We're thinking about maybe replacing in the future. And we just want to kind of get an idea of what this will cost us when we get to that point and ready to really, really get serious about that. And that's kind of when that goes over there, whether that's the CSR or the salesperson talking to them. But the last thing that we want to do, right, it kind of goes back to, you know, we as contractors, we're scared to put our pricing online. We're scared to tell everybody in the world what we're doing, what we're offering, and what we're charging for it. But on the other side of that is, how many times do we send a salesperson, send a technician to someone's home? They leave the shop, they leave their house, they drive 40 minutes, they sit in traffic, they get there, and the consumer's got in their mind because Sal, their next door neighbor, had one chuck in the truck do their system 6 months ago for $8,000, and they've got in their head, oh my God, we can get a system for $7,500 to $8,000, and we get out there, and let's just hypothetically say we're 13, 14, 15,000. Well, we're not even in the same playing field here, right? And sometimes it doesn't matter how much value you build and who we are. And the customer may love it, and they may understand it and appreciate it. They're just not ready to make that type of investment, right? Because it's just all about the price consciousness. And so allowing them to sometimes get on the site and get an idea of the pricing may save us a truck roll, right? Because I think we've all been through that, just wasting time when we could have been in another customer's home and serving them.
Oh, I mean, it happens all the time. I think it's a normal habit in this industry. When somebody wants a quote for a replacement system, we just send out a salesperson or comfort consultant right away without any sort of qualifying questions. So another thing that I thought of, your technicians, when the technicians are there doing a repair, maybe there's a major issue with the system. Do the technicians use your online pricing if the customer says how much is a new one, or what's that process kind of look like?
So they have before. And I think that kind of goes back to the conversation of a customer if the system's down and it's really, you know, they're looking at $3,000 and $4,000 worth of repairs or 2,500, they're not really having that conversation. If they're there for maintenance and the system's still operational and it's still running good and no issues on the heating or the cooling side, and the customer's kind of thinking about the future, they may direct them to that. But a lot of that, when it comes down to it, is just kind of giving them a vast, you know, broad range of what it may cost to replace that system, right? Let's just say it's anywhere from, you know, we see consumers spend 25,000, we see some spend 12 or 13,000. Really just depends on what you're looking for, what your needs are, and kind of what you like for the home. So they'll give them a vast ballpark range, which then allows the salesperson to do their job. Because if they say it's going to be 13 to 15 grand and the sales guy comes in and now he's over 15,000, he's dead in the water before the conversation even begins, right? And so we want to make sure that we don't ever pin ourselves up against a wall of not being able to offer, you know, additional products or higher sear or ductwork or, you know, water heater, throwing all these different things in there just because we kind of limited them on that pricing thing. So that's kind of the way we operate that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about this AI thing. So I'm going to add Mr. Brad Felix here to the stage. Brad is with Contractor Commerce, and you are an AI expert. It says it in your title, right? VP of AI. Whether or not you're the AI
it's assumed
expert today. That's right.
Yeah.
So
we're all AI experts in some way, right?
We are. Yeah, it just depends on the level. So, you know, let's talk about what is happening today with AI search as far as consumers looking for pricing or looking for information. What's going on today with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, I mean, this is something that we're super excited about. I know you all are probably experiencing it, but consumers are starting to shift to agents and ChatGPT and things like that to find products, and they're not exactly transacting yet. That's really kind of nascent, but the infrastructure is being laid today where pretty soon you're going to be able to check out straight in ChatGPT. And so we've got our ears up as to what that means for all of us. I mean, as we think about contractors in general, I mean, part of the risk, right, is that the homeowner doesn't even land on your website anymore, right? Theoretically, they could be asking questions in ChatGPT. ChatGPT is serving up some information, and that's the key, right? What information is it serving up? And I think it's a real, you know, challenge for us to figure out how do we get you all in that conversation and make sure that your products and services are showing up with the right context, right? Because that's kind of the problem with AI today is it will give you an answer no matter what. As you all have experienced, some of it's garbage unless it has the right context. So how do we serve up the right data to help the AI agent inform the homeowner in this case about your services and products?
Do you see ChatGPT or Gemini being kind of like the leader right now of what homeowners are using, or do we just not have those analytics yet?
Yeah, it's interesting. So ChatGPT, you know, I can't remember the latest numbers, but I think last time they announced it was something like 800 million weekly active users. I mean, I am constantly surprised. I'm pro AI, but you talk to people from all walks of life and they're using AI in personal life, work. I mean, to me, it's one of the most widespread adoptions we've seen, right, for any tech cycle. And so I think a lot of people have ChatGPT and use it, but on the free tier, you know, so they're not, you know, they don't have maybe the thinking or reasoning aspects of it. But even Google, it's, you know, you don't necessarily have to use their Gemini product to be using AI, because now you've got AI overviews coming into search. So I think it's all blending together. And, you know, I think a lot of people are using AI, whether you realize it or not.
So you think that a lot fewer people are actually making it to contractors' websites if they start with AI, with ChatGPT, start asking those questions? I mean, how do they even get to a contractor's website, even if they like the answers they're getting from ChatGPT? What's the next action that they're going to take, right? If they can't check out.
Right. Well, I think today they are making it there. So I don't think that is really happening today, but as that capability comes online, or if you are able to sort of purchase through agents and through ChatGPT, I think that kind of changes the landscape, right? And I think like if you look at where ChatGPT is today, they have that infrastructure in place for products, TVs, things you'd buy offline. Like that is in place. They are laying the foundation for services, and we can see it in some of the stuff they're doing and how they're positioning. So I think that's a longer tail thing to happen. But Paul mentioned it in the chat here. It's interesting to me when you think about how to show up in ChatGPT, right? Everyone is asking themselves this question: how do I get my company to show up?
Mm-hmm.
I'd encourage you, maybe as an Easter egg, go do the ChatGPT shopping experience if you've ever used that. There's a little modal you can click and do a shopping experience in ChatGPT, and try to buy an HVAC unit. Type it, take it through there. One of the interesting things about it is that it will take you through some options and things, but it's going to bring up contractors that have pricing on their website. And so when you look at like signals or what do these agents like to bring back and show consumers, they don't want to have to read your website all the way through every time they need to research contractors, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want to go find websites that have a tool that helps them clearly show product, services, pricing, and allow them to easily bring that back to the consumer. And so that's why we're just super excited with our product roadmap and where we're going to Contractor Commerce, because we're in an incredible position to help contractors do that very effectively. So as agentic shopping and things pick up, we're going to be able to help out a lot.
What do you see coming down the pipe, like realistically, for what's going to happen in the research and buying process, and how are you guys involved in that? As far as specifically for ChatGPT, we'll just focus on that for now because it's the biggest. I'm not sure who's going to make it and be the final platform that everybody uses, but ChatGPT has probably got the most market share today. So what do you see coming down the pipe, Brad?
Yeah. And we don't want to pick a winner either, so I'd say, we're open to be a solution that any agent or homeowner can use. But what I think is interesting, Jeff, when we chatted earlier, you just talked about like how AI can be used in conversations with homeowners. And you had said, it's kind of back to like two things: just communication and helping them reason through, the options that they have. And so our next product evolution that we're building at Contractor Commerce, and we're really excited about, is the next evolution of e-commerce, which to us is sort of an AI guided journey on how to buy products and services. So it does those two things pretty well. It's not maybe not up to par for a salesperson yet, but it can communicate with them. It's not just a static form. It can have conversation back and forth and understand what's going on, get the nuance of their situation, and then it can translate it into like, how does this interact, or how does this map to the products and services I have available? What's the best solution I have for you? And it can lead them to that experience. Again, like back to your point, Jeff, before you roll a truck, you can get most of the way down the buying journey and just sort of qualify even more.
Absolutely.
Don't you think it's wild how much people trust AI today? Like, if you're going to go through that qualification and buying journey through ChatGPT or on the website, my feeling is that the homeowner, the prospect, isn't going to really lie. They'll be pretty honest in the answers they give. So the insights that the contractor is going to get, they're really going to be very well prepared when they go in the home. And that's just my feeling, because I'm pretty honest with the AI. I don't feel like anybody's reading it, but maybe they are.
No, I mean, it's definitely, you see it. I mean, the medical field, right? Like people are telling ChatGPT things they'd never tell their primary doctor. And it's incredible, right? And so I do think the level of honesty and sort of the trust in AI will help, and it will certainly help, the contractors help, understand all the nuance and all the objections and things that are in their mind before you even get out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's early right now when it comes to making decisions through ChatGPT on buying a replacement system. I also think that if you were to go to ChatGPT and ask those questions about replacing a system, that you have to be pretty knowledgeable to ask the right questions. It's not going to guide you yet. So I would think that what you guys are building on a contractor's website is going to actually help guide them. So probably, that's like if this, then that type of form workflow before. And now it's an AI agent that's customized to Travis Crawford and to whatever contractor. So when's that rolling out? When are you guys going to roll out that AI website widget?
Yeah, so we're trying as soon as possible, but we're sort of earmarking, end of Q1 timeframe.
Okay.
But we have glimpses of it internally, and we're really excited about it. So as soon as it's ready to roll, we're going to get it in the hands of contractors.
Yeah, that'll be great to see how it is. And will this be something that works inside ChatGPT? Is this going to be on their website, or is it like both?
Yeah, great question. I mean, for where we're at today, and make no mistake, this is meant to be on the contractor's websites. When we talked before about the risk of homeowners not getting there, I think that's maybe down the road. And I think we have plans for that as well. So I'd say if you're looking to future-proof your business, that's certainly something that we have in mind as well. If everything ends up happening in an agent experience down the road, but this experience is primarily geared for the contractor's website. And really how I describe it is it's bringing the power of ChatGPT to your website. And it's going to have your products and services and going to be able to walk homeowner through, through an experience that feels good and gets them to the right outcome.
Is it just HVAC, or you guys have water heaters? Do you have maintenance agreements? Like, is it going to be something that'll pretty much do anything as far as that goes? Even ask about open hours and things like that?
Yeah, great question. Certainly I'd say the first launch when we're shooting for HVAC is definitely at the forefront of that. Memberships, filters. But as we look at it, this is an experience that certainly spans all trades in our mind. So when we think about the experience, that's definitely on our roadmap. And how do we expand this to all contractors everywhere, regardless of sort of which vertical they're into? It's the same helpful buying experience that the homeowner can go through.
That makes sense. Awesome. Well, thanks, Brad. Stay there. I'm gonna add Paul here, Mr. Paul Redman, president with Contractor Commerce. And Paul, I want to ask you some questions here. What mistakes have you seen contractors make when they've added pricing to their website, when they've tried the online pricing system?
Gosh, we launched the company in 2018, and the first phase of that launch was just making it possible for a homeowner to buy a physical product from a contractor. So the first mistake was thinking that, hey, if I put something on my website, my customers are going to buy it from me. And better case scenario, new customers will buy it from me. We found that not to be true. Consumers are not conditioned to purchase online from a contractor. At least they weren't at that point. Now, there were a lot of contractors who had a ton of success driving traffic there and running campaigns and doing that. But mistake one is not taking an active role in e-commerce across the business, just expecting, whether it's having an online store, signing up for Contractor Commerce, whatever it is, just expecting that to be kind of an isolated decision and then things happen. That's not necessarily true. And that's actually, that mistake is what led us. So that was kind of phase one, Contractor Commerce. Let's make it possible for a consumer to buy a physical product off of Travis Crawford's website or enter any contractor name website. And we did that really well. But what our customers pushed us for was they wanted to immediately skip the services and skip those sort of things and start selling the bigger ticket items. And so that next phase of learning was kind of what we're in now, which is like the guided experience, letting a customer be in a controlled environment and go through and get an estimate on a water heater or get an estimate on a generator or an EV charger or, insert pools we see now and all sorts of things. That's kind of led us to and the mistake made in that era, again, is not incorporating that capability across your marketing. So if you look back at the auto industry, there's so much to learn from the auto industry. I know we were joking before this call about, maybe it was on the call about, the car in the showroom, but there's so much to learn because the auto industry was at kind of a crossroads in 2010, 11 about putting pricing online. And the idea was that if you put your pricing online, it will be a race to the bottom. And this dealership is going to see the price and they're just going to undercut it and undercut it and undercut it. And we all know that that never happened, right? That never
I kind
happened.
of wish it did, man. If you're looking at pricing of cars today,
Well,
it
think
definitely
about
hasn't
that.
been undercutted for that much.
So that's a great lens through which to explore this,
Mhm.
because like, how much was an F-150 in 2012? And how much is it now?
Yeah.
Like, it certainly was not a race to the bottom. And so there's a lot to learn from that. So this next phase of e-commerce for contractors was, when we first started the company, one of the things that we would say is, hey, we know we're going to be successful with this because online shopping is not going to change. So we knew
Mhm.
we were making a sure bet. We knew there'd be a lot of learnings. But one of the things we always said was, man, there's going to be some surprises along the way that we just can't account for in 2018,
Yeah.
19, 20. And the thing we couldn't account for is, like, we spent so much time and energy teaching a human how to go to Travis Crawford's website, answer a few questions and get a quote. And then Travis and Jeff had to teach their team how to respond to that and all that. And while all that was happening, and while all that has been wildly successful, people started going to AI agents, and now AI agents started crawling websites to get information. So that, I don't want to use the word pivot, but the evolution in our
Mhm.
product to what is building up to our release at the end of March is the next phase, which is the conversational commerce. And that is, Jeff is going to have, and he'll be the first one to have it, but he will have an unbelievably powerful tool on his website that takes all of the things he's been building for the last couple of years, with just being first and putting pricing online, takes it to another level and meets the consumer again where they are, because the consumer moved. So
Mhm.
yeah, then going back to the last mistake, honestly, Bill, you're seeing this now. Like, it was a mistake not putting pricing online from 2020 to 2025. It was a mistake. And you can kick around the concept and argue it and all those sort of things up, down, left,
Mhm.
and right. But go to Google right now, filter by pricing online, and you're going to find Travis Crawford and the other contractors in the market who've got pricing online. Same thing on ChatGPT. So it's a mistake having not done it. The good news is it's not too late. So how you go about it, I think, Ryan, you had a question about, could your pricing pull in from Service Titan in a dynamic way that gives shoppers the information they need without giving away your information to competitors? I mean, that's why we built Contractor Commerce, because e-commerce has to be done on your terms. Like, you're
Yeah.
not, I can trust, Jeff and the team at Travis Crawford. They did not load their entire their entire Service Titan price book. They had a very strategic, merchandised approach of good, better, best, small, medium, and large. Because really what they're trying to do is
Mhm.
build the funnel, take people off the market, build a relationship, get into homes when appropriate, and sell the stuff that they were going to sell anyway. So
You guys help the contractor kind of figure out how to do that. So maybe show them some best practices, and then they customize it from there, and including the conversational AI agent. You work with the contractor to make sure that AI is accurately representing the brand and saying things that only the contractor wants it to say, things like that. How do you guys control that?
yeah, so in the current world we live in today, which I'm calling guided e-commerce for contractors, there's a lot of help that we give people like Jeff to get their systems configured, get the pricing updated, get the pictures and the SEER rates and the rebates and all those sort of things. In this new era, AI helps with all of that stuff. AI is better
Mhm.
than we are, better. Like, AI will outwork, if it were me and Jeff locked in a room trying to figure out the best pricing for his market and all the different combinations and permutations of water heaters and HVAC systems, and then we had Claude do it in another room in 30 minutes. No
Wow.
offense, Claude's going to take us to school. So, and Claude just being one example, there are some elements of the product too that, Brad, I want you to talk about this, because I think Jeff brought this up earlier about, like, consumer. I'm going to take a couple steps back here. Consumers are fed up with, like, the information gating that has been happening in the industry forever. And there are current coaches and consultants and trainers and people who will fly to your city and teach you a seminar that teach you that you need to hide the name of the parts that you're going to sell to your customer and call it something else so you can charge more for it. And I get all of that. But with AI now, consumers are just cutting through all that noise. And so one of the things that, and I just saw the latest version of this today, like, imagine if a consumer is super confused about an estimate, so they go to Travis Crawford's website and they just upload a picture of their estimate, and the agent, Jeff AI, goes through and looks at everything that Travis Crawford could possibly do for this customer, compares it to the quote they got, and then gives them a line item breakdown of everything that would be required for them to get that same estimate from Travis Crawford. So there's a lot of things going on that AI makes possible that we just all couldn't do together.
And the wild thing about it is that in the future, I see AI telling the user to do that, right? So it will be guiding the experience. Like, I believe, gosh, sometime maybe a year ago, ChatGPT started at the end asking, do you want me to do this? And it would give you a few more options and guiding you through. So if you're not great at prompting or asking questions, it's going to try to understand your intent and then take you through that. So even though not many homeowners are going to think to do what you just said to do, Paul, not today, but AI might just do it automatically.
Upload the quote. You got questions? Upload it. We'll figure it out for you. That is, whether or not we're shipping that at the end of March is yet to be determined, but that is very much happening behind the scenes today. So,
yeah. And Bill, I might just jump in and say too, you talked about customization. So I would say, coming out of the gate, I think what we have is an experience that's going to feel good to homeowners, regardless of what the contractor's preferences are. But we are going to build on top of that to say, customization at the AI level. What kind of language do you want your agent to have? What image, what avatar are you using? And then at the highest level, what conversations are happening and how do you want it to respond in the future? So it's in the AI world, that's called an eval. Here's a real conversation that happened. Look at it, tell it how to change or course correct. And I think out of the box, we can sort of supercharge that with any sales scripts you have, any standard processes you have. Tell us how you do the sale. We would love to incorporate that for contractors to make this feel like an extension of your brand on your website. So all of that on the roadmap coming to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this is ServiceTitan Hacks. So can you guys tell me give me some details about the ServiceTitan integration that you guys have. How's that work?
Cool. We're actually doing a webinar with ServiceTitan on Thursday, not to encourage anyone to get their content from anywhere other than ServiceTitan Hacks. But one of the earliest questions we had from our customers is, do you integrate with ServiceTitan? Because they don't want to do the swivel chair, right? They don't want to be in Contractor Commerce here and in QuickBooks here and then having to go to ServiceTitan. So we are actually, this is something we're really proud of. This is a flex for those. I'll just call it out and put it out there. We are one of the first technology companies that is a certified, approved ServiceTitan Marketplace application. That final certification process happened a couple of weeks ago. We were picked from a group of 3 or 4 in the early days, and we've been through that process. So we're officially a certified app. And I think right now there's only 4 companies. They're not all technology companies. Some are mail companies, those sort of things. So we're really, really excited about that. But what that means is that, there's a lot of people out there saying they integrate with ServiceTitan or they're a partner with ServiceTitan or whatever that might be. It means we've been through the rigorous background check from a personal and a technical standpoint to make sure that our product does what we say it's going to do and is going to be around for a long time to support those customers. So
Paul,
what's that?
That was probably a lot of work to get to that point with ServiceTitan. I know that they're, enterprise grade software. They have a pretty rigorous process, don't they?
It is incredibly rigorous. And because they're a public company, they've got a lot of really smart and sharp people who've done this at other giant, big companies that are coming in, and they're the adults in the room. So it is not the Wild West. It's a very disciplined, sound structure, something we're really proud of and probably won't stop talking about for a really long time because we're continually investing in the in the integration. So for an example, and I know this because I do a lot of tests. So I live in Charlotte. Travis Crawford is my company I work with here locally, and I'll do a lot of tests on their website. And when I do that test, that lead comes over as a booking in ServiceTitan so that someone can take action in that, in the building. What we're announcing on Thursday and sharing, I think there's several hundred people are going to be on this call, is the ability to manage your membership, sell your membership directly on your website, and have all of that activity and all of that stuff happen in Service Titan without a bunch of duplication and workarounds. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any system that allows you to sell memberships online like that.
You are now. So
yeah, that's nice. That's great. So let's get to some Q&A. So I'd like to, everybody who's on the call right now, what kind of questions do you have for either Jeff, Brad, Paul, myself? I'll probably divert them to either Jeff, Brad, or Paul, but let's see what we have here. I'm gonna add some of these to the stage. It looks like Ryan has. All right.
I can answer Ryan's question for Jeff, or Jeff can answer it. That's up to Jeff. I'm a customer of Travis Crawford, so I've been through this. So, when you go through the buying journey on Travis Crawford's website, you get immediate contact and information as a form of text message and email. But one of the things that it does, and I can't recite it directly offhand, but in that reply, it's something along the lines of, "Hey, thank you for getting a quote. We're pumped here, considering considering Travis Crawford." But it says like, "Hey, included in that quote are things that we do differently." And there's a list of like 50 things that go on to an install. I mean, all of those tiny little things to safely install a fire burning, thing in someone's home. And that really, it's interesting because it gives you a peace of mind, but it also gives you all sorts of questions about what else is out there. Like, oh, well, how do I make sure that, and the result of that is you invite Travis Crawford out to your home, they finish the job and they install it. So I think that's and I don't know if I asked the question, but yeah, what kind of educational content do you pair with your pricing? You know what a lot of people do? This is really interesting. We have a lot of contractors who want to embed videos throughout the whole buying journey process. And on one hand, I get it because you want to take 90 seconds and explain to someone why you're different at every step of the journey. But now because of AI search, people just don't have the patience. They just want all of it at the tap of their finger. And if they want to watch a video, send them a link, but don't interrupt them with a video. So Travis, I'm sorry,
3-second
Jeff,
reel, right? All the way through everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jeff, how did I handle that response about educational content?
Great.
Right. Fantastic. So thanks for that question, Ryan. Let's add this one. All right. Specific way to phrase or structure online pricing info, schema markup. There we go.
Yeah. So great question. So this is a way to help agents find your website, right? So you could use Markdown or certain types of markup that lets agents know, hey, look here, and this is the stuff. This kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. When you think about how AI agents find information about your company, I will say that like the most brute force method of that is to read every single page on your website. And that is, if you think about how much that costs OpenAI, I mean, we're building data centers everywhere, right? That is the most computationally intensive way for it to learn about your pricing. To look through all of your files and read everything and make sure it finds it. The future, I don't think is going to look like that. That might be how it works today, and I think it can help you. So I would certainly encourage you, if you're willing to do that, put some Markdown on your website and try to get recognized by ChatGPT. I don't think it can hurt. But I think the future looks more like you have a specific tool on your website that an agent can interact with to quickly get back structured information that it wants and do so really efficiently without having to read your whole website. And so that's the future that we're building for, and I think you should plan for as well. But in the interim, I don't think it could hurt to throw some stuff on your website.
Hopefully that answered your question, Ryan. All right. Let's add Mike in here. Mike doesn't work for Service Titan because he said enterprise software is going to go away in a year or two, which is certainly possible. We really don't know what's going to happen. Please address this. And is this all going to become standard and extremely inexpensive to build or launch? That would be a Paul or Brad, probably.
I can probably take part of it.
Shot.
And Brad, but you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, certainly things have changed, right? Like we can build code and we can vibe code and we can do things. I will say there's a mile between an initial vibe coded prototype and what I'll call like a production system that you can rely on and count on. And you all know that probably. So I see another comment, Mike, where you say that you built an AI agent. And if you're doing that, I would say, one, that's impressive, but also like, I'm assuming that every contractor doesn't want to build their own software. Maybe you do, but if you want to do that, I would encourage you to just, try it out. But there are nuances once you get to the production side of things. It gets complicated, it gets messy. I don't think all CRMs are going to disappear. And I'm a very AI pro person. So I think enterprise software will have some staying power, but I think it's going to change, right? And so we're focused on, I think, an interesting area where the closer you can get to the homeowner and the consumer in this case, I think that's a great position to be, regardless of what happens to the data that you're going to put into a CRM or your database somewhere. So we feel really strongly about where we're sitting in the ecosystem.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think with the enterprise software, I think that guys like Mike and will probably build their own stuff and use their own stuff. But overall, having contractors switch away from software like ServiceTitan, that's going to be a little tricky for them. I mean, they have a lot of investment of time, money, and training into that software. And sometimes just knowing what you have and how you work it is very valuable. So I think that ServiceTitan will be here to stay, but there will be some guys like Mike who challenge that and build some products that will be used, certainly.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, right. Tersh, what are you talking about? You're gonna ask Jeff what his favorite watch is? Why not? Jeff, what's your favorite watch?
What he likes watching you be a fool, Tersh.
Tersh, that's a hard question, bud. That's a 30-minute conversation right there. Hey, I speaking of Tersh, I will say something. Obviously, me, him, and Travis, and a few other individuals have had conversations for years now, and obviously, anybody in the industry knows Tersh is Mr. Technology, right? And he's talking about stuff before, 2 years later, stuff's coming out, and I remember him just talking about stuff years ago in technology and AI and advancement in our industry. And, our brain is always as contractors, especially in HVAC and the plumbing trades, we're just standard. Hey, phone call rings, technician goes, sales guy, install, happy call, review, bam, everything's done. It's all easy. And the word that he said to me was embrace it. It's going to happen whether you want it to or not. Technology is here. It is going to evolve. It is changing, and it's coming into our industry more than you will ever realize. Embrace it, get with it, or get left behind. And I didn't think, of course, at that time, I'm about 6-8 beers deep, right? And I'm just kind of looking at him like, yeah, I get it, Tersh. You'll talk about this on your podcast. And then it really dawned on me kind of when Paul got us involved in Contractor Commerce and kind of that step forward of where this platform is going and what it's capable of and things that are happening. So just excited to be able to finally embrace it, the technology, the advancement. And I know a lot of contractors have had a lot of success over the past 15, 20, 30 years doing what they've done. They're like, hey, I've been successful. I don't need to get involved in this. I don't need to put my pricing online. Well, everyone else around you is doing it. So eventually you're going to need to.
Yeah, I think contractors, even back in the day, used to say, why do I need a website? What do I need to do Google ads for, right? Why do I need to be on social media? So I think it's natural to reject change and things like that, especially if you have success at this point, right? All right, Ryan, another great question here. This seems like a Brad question. So is that a Brad question? You see that, Brad?
I don't know. I might defer to Paul. Paul, do you got one for this?
I do. I've been staring at that one for a minute, and I would think that the top myth, this is just like reconstructing the feeling that you have about this. And that is like, at this point, this is like Google asking you what your business hours are. Look at it like that. Like it is a thing. It is a knowable thing. Everybody's got prices. Everybody sells stuff and it costs stuff. And, I wouldn't feel overly threatened by it.
All right. Thanks for that. All right. Here you go. So got a Contractor Commerce demo. Paul, that should probably be
well,
you.
I may lean on Jeff for this one. So the question is, hey, you're partnered with a marketing company. You're going to be going through a Contractor Commerce demo, and your question is, as the market becomes more price conscious, do you show objective real-time pricing? Are we showing slightly discounted? So you have a chance to get the lead. I mean, I'll give you a second to think about this, Jeff, but my recommendation is like, you want to give a wide enough range that the customer has as many new questions than when they started, other than price. So like, for instance, you might have, and I'll give you some examples of people around the country. We have a customer of ours out in Northern California, and Ongaro and Sons, big Daikin dealer, I believe, out there. And their good, better, best pricing is like 22, 32, 45,000. Like, it is unbelievable. They know who their customer is. They know who's not their customer, and they put their fully installed price out there, and they are killing it. I don't know if you could do that in every market. Yes, I know all markets are different and sometimes the same, but I don't know if you could do that in every market. We have some contractors that have good, better, best pricing, but it's all 3 different options of their kind of lower packages, right? So it's all single stage 80%, maybe single stage 90%, and then maybe single stage 80% with an air, whatever. So it's maybe 10.5, 13.5, 15.5. I mean, I don't, Jeff, what's your strategy with
Paul,
pricing?
you nailed it on that. You nailed it on that. And I think, Cody, I definitely agree with you on the question of, the way that the market is right now, especially with the seasonality, and I'm not sure where you're located at, but you want the goal is, you think about it. Hey, I want to put slightly discount on it because I don't want to potentially lose out on an opportunity. But don't shy away from, even if you do run some sort of promotion or you have discounts going, don't show that up front. Have that conversation after the fact, right? Because regardless, if they send you a message or if they respond to you text or phone call, they're interested in you as a company. It's not about your pricing. They're interested in you as a company and who you are. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, and having that information on your website, showing your people, one of our most visited portion of our website is meet the team. Because regardless of your price, people want to do business with people they feel like they can just relate to when it comes to a contractor, because there's competition everywhere, right? And here in Charlotte, you can drive, for 3 hours and you're going to see a million different contractors driving around. And so that to us is, we want you to want to do business with us. We worry about a discount or something later on if we do. So we never, Cody, we never try to lower the price on the website just to try to reel someone in, because that's kind of like a bait and switch to me, right? We want them to really know what the pricing is, and if it comes down to it where we have to discount something, which we don't love to do, I don't think anybody does. We kind of do that after the fact, but always try to show your upfront real pricing, real time, regardless of whether you're changing it every 3 months. I will tell you guys this. There's nothing in relation to that question. The back end customer support that we get from Contractor Commerce is amazing. It is not a thing of, hey, sign up, get it on your website, and you never hear from them again. Their responsiveness, the way that they help us, the way that I've changed a million things. Mason, who is absolutely incredible on their back end stuff. I can't tell you how many emails that I have sent that gentleman, and he has responded right back and just done stuff for us. So I think that's one of the biggest things with Contractor Commerce, is not only helping you get that initially set up, but also the back end support that you need when you need to change things, adjust things. They're there to definitely help you out.
Thank you. One concept I'll add, before we jump into Ryan's question, is, you think about the current process with technicians, right? So technician goes into the home and they're in that situation where they've got an expensive repair and the customer wants a replacement quote. And generally speaking, what does the technician do when it's time to work up an estimate? They go to the truck. I've seen it so many times. They take the iPad, they go to the truck, and then they come back, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes later. That whole time, the homeowner, anxiety and uncertainty are building. What is he going to come back with? Like, it's just, they're waiting for that like price reveal moment, right? And that's awkward for the technician too, because they have to be the bearer of bad news, to be like, yeah, well, because of refrigerant changes and this and tariffs, yeah, that's why this is a lot more than you thought it was. Like, they don't want to do that. They want to be a hero, right? So I don't know how you do this. It doesn't seem that hard, but you want to let your customers know all the time why you have pricing online. And the technician knows, like, hey, the technician is no longer the the person who has to reveal that bad news or that news at all to a customer, because it's objective. It's not like I'm sizing up your house like I've been taught to do at sales training classes that I've personally been to, where I'm trying to build value and ask about allergies and kids and all those sort of things. Like, no, look, we're all adults here. Things cost things. They're on our website. I'm going to go upstairs and see if I can fix it. If not, we'll walk through it together. But it also takes away that, like, I call it the awkward iPad exchange. Like, you ever had a technician hand you their iPad with an estimate on it? Like, is that a great experience? Like, no, you can barely read it, regardless of what CRM it's in. And like, yeah, it's anyhow. You had a question, Ryan.
Awkward.
Sorry. We'll rant.
All right, Ryan, thanks for the question. That's a good question.
Yeah, so I'll take this one. For small shops with 1 to 3 technicians, like electrical HVAC startups, are we genuinely affordable? Contractor Commerce. We put our pricing on our website, or we would be hypocrites. But as it stands today, we've had a couple different iterations of our pricing over the years. Right now, it's $500 a month, or $1,000, or $1,500, depending on how you configure the different variable things. As we get into the conversational commerce, that pricing model will change a little bit. But what we're designing it for is that even with the most minimal success, one customer goes through, becomes a customer, and buys a thing that pays for the software for the year. We're also designing it so that you're never disincentivized for your customers to use it. So like, we're going to be removing some of our variable fees that exist in the plan today. But the hard part, Ryan, to answer this question, whether it's not for a small company or a large company, is, and this is something that we've learned over the years, is that sometimes smaller companies haven't implemented a lot of different things to grow, right? And so if you've never implemented an FSM, or you've never worked with a marketing agency, and you've never had, been able to really, drive demand through marketing and those sort of things, you might not have a ton of success working with a company like Contractor Commerce out of the gate. There's probably some other things you need to do. I'm not speaking to you in general, but like whether or not the pricing is feasible for a small market or a smaller contractor. So I hope that answers your question. Kind of.
Paul, I'll say this, Ryan. I think for the first probably 6 to 9 months, give or take, of us starting Contractor Commerce, we did the lowest entry level that you guys had, and ended up bumping up to the top tier. But I think for the first 6 to 9 months, just to get our feet wet, we were kind of weary about it too, right? This is a large investment to make, and I think it's, regardless of your size, I think you should always have that thought in your mind, right? Because every dollar does count. But we started out at the lowest tier for at least 6 to 9 months, and then we eventually kind of bumped up as we saw the traction really start to take place within the software.
Cool.
So it is
Thank you,
definitely
Jeff.
affordable. Yeah.
This next question, who's best to follow up within the company? Jeff, I'll let you take that one, because I know you guys have a process. You've got kind of an inside sales coordinator. Is that right?
We do. We have a new sales coordinator, and to me, the answer is always coordinator or someone in the office, because it takes that initial fear of, my God, if I start this conversation with this sales guy, right? If I'm looking at this vehicle online and I'll put in that little chat bar, this person's not going to leave me alone, right? Just because I inquired about it. And so I think even on the follow-up process, a lot of times, right, when we have salespeople that go out, even if they don't get that, you'll be amazed at the responsiveness that you get from a consumer after quoting something from an office employee, because they have no skin in the game, right? They're just kind of following to see how everything went, make sure they got their estimate, see if they have any questions, versus that salesperson. So we've kind of, equated that over to the Contractor Commerce. Now, do we have, and have we had sales guys reach out before? Absolutely. And we changed that just because we wanted our responsiveness to be higher, and they kind of feel like, hey, this person reaching out is not here to sell me the system. It's not here to bombard me with all this information. They're just here to make sure I've got what I need and answer any questions, and then kind of guide me in the process. And so we do have people internally that handle that. But we did go down the road with sales people before, and I will never go back down that journey again.
That's a great question. Fantastic. So we have any other questions coming up on time here? I don't see anything else. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. All right. Great. So Jeff, thanks for sharing, Travis Crawford, and your experience with it. Paul and Brad, thanks a lot. It's great. And so let me drop a link here in case any of you guys want to reach out to Contractor Commerce. And I will be emailing out a replay of this for everyone that was on the call and for everyone that registered who wasn't able to make the call today. Really appreciate everyone's time. Again, thanks a lot, Jeff, Brad, and Paul. A lot of fun, and talk soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, everyone. Jeff, thank you so much for making the time.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you tomorrow.